Special order calendar number 78. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 71, Maryland Police Accountability Act of 2021, body-worn cameras. Favor report is amended. Adopted.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There's a committee amendment at the desk. Amendment number 213228.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
The amendment seeks to clarify language regarding the use of force standard. Move the amendment.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Are there any other amendments to the bill to its title?
That's it.
Recognizing the gentleman from St. Mary's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had an amendment at the desk. Amendment 153021/1.
Amendment number 1.
So be considered reading the amendment.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the page, under section 5 or 3516 in the bill deals with an early warning system to identify officers that are supposedly on the edge. Now, it looks like it removes some language in the original law. So the policy for counseling officers who receive 3 or more citizens' complaints within a 12-year period. In the new language proposed in this legislation says early intervention system to identify police officers who are at risk of engaging in the use of excessive force. Now, we certainly don't support officers using excessive force, but I'm wondering what a system to identify police officers who are at risk, what does that system look like? Now, this amendment strikes this language because I have no idea what that means. I'm really interested in the rebuttal here because when I take a look at that, it looks like language for profiling. And I don't know if this is a test. Is this additional training? Is this like taking a look at officers' social media accounts and seeing what they're posting? I have no idea what a system to identify police officers who are at risk. It's almost like a preconceived crime. So I'm really interested in the rebuttal on this. I move the amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Delegate, we really want to support our officers. And the job is tough. I can't tell you from my own experience, whether it was on the prosecution side and now the defense side, the amount of hours that our officers work, showing up to court when you're tired, the incidences, the trauma that you see. This system has nothing to do with profiling, but supporting our men and women that serve our community. And what the system will enable local departments to do is to identify officers that need redirection, help, and support. I think every single person in this room wants our good men and women to stay on the force and be successful. And to add to your question, the system is there to identify many different factors that chiefs and supervisors are there to see when officers have incidents, complaints, personal trauma, things that necessarily can't be codified. I've definitely had personal experiences where officers have had trouble at home, and that trouble at home is now seeping into their work. And so that's all that this amendment is speaking to. It's to make sure that the men and women that are protecting us every day are not just having punitive action on the back end after someone's hurt, after someone's killed, but we're actually preventing the loss of life and serious injury. And that's all this amendment tends to do.
So thank you for that explanation, but I may be even more confused now. That explanation didn't talk about the system and what's in place. A system to identify police officers who are at risk. What does that look like? I mean, short of the state police maybe hiring palm readers and people with crystal balls, I don't know how you predict what's going to happen in the future. The last language that's being struck from the bill seems unbelievably clear. A policy for counseling officers who have received 3 or more complaints from citizens. That's pretty clear. A system to identify police officers who are at risk sounds like it could be used for profiling. And can you explain the system?
Yes, I can do that for you, Delegate. A system is going to have many different factors, as I said earlier in my comments. Whether it's complaints, whether it's you witnessed a shooting, it's going to have many different things. And throughout a lot of the police reform bills we've talked about, and also what a lot of our local departments have, and that they're also beginning to implement themselves, is different matrices, whether it's matrix on punishment and matrix of trauma. The way this language is, it allows departments to figure out all the different factors that might go into identifying an officer. We would have about 2 to 3 to 4 pages if we listed every single thing that could maybe trigger a law enforcement officer for redirection, for counseling, for a helping hand. And to act like that is profiling when you're out here trying to prevent injury, prevent death, and give people the resources and the mental health resources that they really need.
It sounds, with all due respect, it sounds like we took away something completely tangible, like citizens' complaints, and we're replacing with a system that nobody has yet to define. I mean, who's the judge and jury on this? Can it be handled in one department different than another department? Because in the bill, it says each local law enforcement agency. I mean, my concern is at some point we're just gathering up officers and maybe dunking them underwater until they confess or something. It sounds like it could be something that turns into a witch trial. My concern is that. I mean, the language that was put in the bill seems pretty clear, and now that's being struck out. I don't really feel that's right, but I'll move the amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Floor leader.
Yes. Delegate, I appreciate your remarks, but they're a bit far. This is not a witch hunt. This is not dunking our officers or forcing them to do anything. This is helping officers in need and retaining officers and redirecting good officers on our force. This is allowing locals to have the opportunity to come up with many factors. And it's interesting that many opponents opposed to this bill, 1 minute you want to say complaints shouldn't be considered and people can go do fraudulent complaints, and now complaints are the only factor you want to see when it comes to trauma and issues and mental health issues that our law enforcement is facing. And for those that also want the issue of, I think, local courtesy has come up a million times on this floor. This is allowing local departments to do what they feel is best when it comes to finding a system to help people. This is a helping tool. This is a supporting tool to our men and women in uniform so that we're helping people on the front end instead of the back end, and we're helping people prevent loss of life and serious injury. I ask this body to resist the amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.